KVUE News has learned a Uvalde grand jury returned 2 indictments in connection to the 2022 mass shooting at Robb Elementary School.
Let's get right to KVUE's Brian Mays and senior reporter Tony Plahetsky, who are live in Uvalde with the latest. Brian and Tony.
Adam and Ashley, we're here at the courthouse in Uvalde, and this is a day the families of the victims of the Robb Elementary School mass shooting 2 years ago have been waiting a long time for. Those 2 indictments handed down by the grand jury, which was seated earlier this year here in Uvalde. Senior reporter Tony Plahetsky is here with more on the details. We know there are 2 indictments, and we do know what the charges are.
We do, Brian. It's a rarely applied charge called injury to a child by omission. That charge essentially describing what the charge is. It is a felony charge, so we know that these former officers face felony charges. Brian, what I want to tell you is happening right now is that in conjunction with the Texas Rangers, efforts are being made to get those officers into custody. They are likely to surrender at the Uvalde County Jail within the next 24 hours and be released on bond on those charges. And Brian, I can also tell you that throughout the course of today, the district attorney here, her name is Christina Busby. Brian, as you can imagine, she has also been reaching out to the families of those 19 children and 2 teachers to inform them of this very significant development. Brian, a development coming 2 years and 1 month after that terrible shooting just a short distance from here at Robb Elementary.
You mentioned the charges, and this is a very rare event, the fact that these charges have been brought, and the specific charges in this case. Only the second time in U.S. history an event like this, a school shooting, a mass shooting at a school, where charges have been brought against a responder to that mass shooting.
And that is why not only is this so significant related to what happened at Robb Elementary School, but this will obviously, Brian, once again, trigger a national conversation about the role of law enforcement during mass shootings. As you mentioned, there was a previous case related to the shooting in Parkland, Florida, in which a number of students, 17 people were killed in that shooting. A Broward County deputy, his name was Scott Peterson, faced trial in Florida last year, Brian, and was acquitted. And already we are starting to hear from legal experts who are looking at what we know about the facts of what happened at Robb Elementary School and this charge that has been applied in this case. Brian, already a lot of discussion about what this could mean legally in this case going forward. But again, here tonight, word is just barely now beginning to trickle throughout this community, Brian, as parents and others who were so touched, really the whole community, so touched by that shooting, are just learning that there are calls for accountability, which have lasted and been really sustained over 2+ years now, coming to fruition with criminal charges in this case.
767 days, in fact, they've been waiting for this kind of news. One more thing, Tony. In your knowledge of this case and the system in general, what comes next for the 2 indictments now, the 2 people that have been indicted on these criminal charges?
Well, we expect it to unfold just as any other criminal case would. I think, Brian, and legally, as you survey this case as well, experts are also already saying that it is almost certainly a case in which there would be a request for a change of venue. I also want to add, Brian, that if these officers were to be convicted, they would face up to 10 years behind bars, a $10,000 fine and up to 2 years behind bars on those state jail felony charges. And Brian, just one additional thing that I want to point out is that we are not yet naming the officers who have been indicted. And the reason is this: their identities remain under seal. The indictments are under seal until they surrender to the jail, at which time the indictments would be opened and available for public inspection. We are learning this information this evening from sources and officials who have been briefed on this matter and are close to the investigation.
We do know the grand jury's been meeting for weeks, months, in fact, this year. They were just at the elementary school this week. To go through the scene there. Again, Tony, thanks for your work on this. Of course, he'll be following this story for you as well. To recap, a grand jury here in Uvalde has returned 2 indictments in the response to the mass shooting back on May 24th, 2022. As Tony just mentioned, the officers' names are not being released at this point. Of course, we will bring that to you as soon as we learn more on this case. Ashley, that's it for now. We'll, of course, be here all afternoon and bring you the very latest as we learn it here live in Uvalde. I'm Brian Mays, KVUE News.